What's up, War Report family? It's your guy, Ike Jones. We are back inside of Lobtown Podcast here on the War Report Podcast Network, Auburn Express, talking a little bit of basketball, Auburn versus Ohio State. And I've got Eric Boggs here from the Ohio Podcast to give you all the lowdown on everything about the Buckeyes as they face the Auburn Tigers coming up this weekend inside of State Farm Arena there in Atlanta, Georgia. Eric, appreciate you jumping in here with me today, man. Let's talk a little bit about the Buckeyes, man. This season so far, they've been doing okay, 6-3 on the season. Had a major, well, I won't say major, but a situation with one of the center there that was away from the team for the last couple of games. Should be getting him back. Just recently got the news today, I believe. That news broke that he was going to be back.
He's back with the team, but that doesn't mean he's going to be playing.
Oh, okay. Not sure about whether or not he's going to play. I figured, the news was kind of convenient. I was like, all right, well, he should be back for this game. But we'll see what happens there. So, of course, I'm sure most of our viewers and listeners don't follow the Ohio State Buckeyes, but you all have played two teams already in the SEC, both of the Texas teams, and split that pair, beat Texas there on the first game of the season, lost to Texas A&M. But what should people be expecting when they see Ohio State facing Auburn this coming weekend?
Yeah, this is a relatively young team that is rebuilding and learning how to play within the new system that Jake Diebler has brought to the team, which has been a breath of fresh air for Ohio State fans. Since the removal of Chris Holtman and the addition of bringing Jake in, who of course Jake Diebler, the Diebler name is very famous here in the state of Ohio. His older brother John is the all-time leading three-point shooter at Ohio State basketball history. Their father, Coach Diebler, as he's known, or Mr. Diebler to us younger folks, is a high school basketball legend here in the state of Ohio, and so this is a big name for us Buckeye fans, and he's really kind of put some juice back in the program that had been squeezed out under the Chris Holtman era. And so, really, the expectations for this basketball team, Ike, is not necessarily wins and losses as much as him winning the fan base back because we were done.
Right.
The arena was half full for the Big Ten schedule last year, and Holtman had lost the fans, and so the fact that he was able to come in his very first game as interim coach, upset number one Purdue last year, made the run in the Big Ten tournament, and made a decent run in the NIT tournament. Expectations for this basketball team are, let's see where we are in really year one of Jake Diebler in the rebuild. So defeating Texas on the road to start the season was kind of a surprise for us. Okay, cool. And then kind of we've had some hiccups along the way. You mentioned losing Aaron, Bradshaw at the center, the five-star transfer from Kentucky.
Kentucky, right? Yeah.
Was kind of a punch in the gut. And the team then had to adapt again. Now we don't have our center, and we're kind of playing small ball a lot. And then so that has been an adaptation to this team here early on in the season. And then the learning how to play on the road has been something this team has struggled with. You have losses in A&M, like you mentioned. We have a loss to open Big Ten play on the road in Maryland, which was just a hideous loss. We were down 50-17 at halftime in that game. We play really well at home. Young team on the road. They've got to learn how to do that. So this is a big opportunity for us to go on the road. It's not at Auburn, but it is,
Yeah, I mean, listen,
down south for us.
I'm not going to lie to you. If anybody's watching this, an Ohio State fan, or if you're going to talk about this game later, be clear. There's going to be a bunch of Auburn. I mean, Ohio State fans travel fairly well. It's not. It's a shorter trip for Auburn fans, and Auburn fans travel really well. So State Farm Arena is gonna have a lot of orange.
We have some alum in the Atlanta area. It's not like we're traveling to Chicago or one of those cities in the Midwest where there's a ton of Ohio State alumni. That's not the case here,
Yeah.
and we understand that. So this to us feels like a road game
Right.
for us, and just another opportunity for this team to learn how to do what they're doing really well at home.
Hmm. All right. Well, here inside of Lobtown again with Eric Boggs from the Ohio podcast, talking a little bit about Auburn versus Ohio State coming up inside of State Farm Arena. It's going to be a good. Last time I was there last year for the events over there at the Holiday Hoops Giving, and it's a good environment if you are planning to make the trip over. It's very much like a tournament environment because there's multiple teams there and there's a lot of fan bases, and you get some good basketball. But this is going to be a good game between the two. Let's talk a little bit about the players on this team and who should Auburn fans be looking out for. I know Michi Johnson's the new guard there. He's a guy who Auburn fans are familiar with from his days at South Carolina.
Hmm.
But who else should they be looking out for? I know leading scorer there, if I'm not mistaken, I want to make sure I'm not saying anything wrong, is Thornton there for
Bruce
Ohio
Thornton.
State this year. Dynamic guard. But kind of what brand of basketball would this
Yeah.
young Ohio State team be playing?
Yeah, so speaking of Michi Johnson, this is his second time with the team. So he started at Ohio State,
Right.
Northeast Ohio kid, transfers to South Carolina, and he has not started off well.
Mm,
He's learning how to adapt. I think to not being the number one scorer on
right.
the floor right now, and he's struggling to find his rhythm in the offense. But we're going to continue to feed him because we know it's inside of him, right? To make some buckets. But this is a team that likes to they're a rhythm shooting basketball team. If they are knocking down shots early on, this is going to be a team that is a ton of fun to watch. It's a brand of basketball, I think, given what I've seen from Auburn this year. We're going to go up and down the court, and there's going to be a lot of points scored, and it's going to be a lot of fun for anybody who tunes into this game or goes to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, we definitely have some some issues down low in the paint, I think, and so we tend to give up some offensive rebounds a lot. That's something that the team's learning how to adapt to and improve is in their rebounding department. Um, and with that too comes with the idea that if we're not putting down shots, then you get what you saw in Maryland,
Mm,
where because of the style of play, where we're running up and down the court, we're putting up shots, as many shots as we can put up. If we're not making them, and the other team is, it can get
get away
ugly
from you quickly. Yeah.
fast. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun to watch, but it can also be very dangerous. That brand of basketball where some of the other Big Ten teams, I'll put those in air quotes for you. Um, just like football, it's like, hey, you know what? We're going to try to keep this thing as low as possible and just really grind it out with a defensive performance, right? That is not what Ohio State's trying to do. We're going to try to
Mm,
run teams off the court. So that being said, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. We've got some players that are doing really well this year, some surprise guys. But Bruce Thornton, this is a homecoming game for him. He's from the state of Georgia. He was Mr. Georgia in the state of Georgia a few years ago, and everything runs through him. He's the point guard. He's going to shoot it. He's going to drive the basketball. He's really the engine that runs this offense. You're going to see a lot of motion with this team. They do run a lot of four out, one under. And so movement without the basketball has been a French kiss for us Buckeye fans because we were so stagnant in our offense under Chris Holtman. And with Jake Diebler, there is a ton of movement. You're going to see a lot of backdoor cuts. You're going to see a lot of screen and rolls. You're going to see a lot of in and out game. There's just a ton of variations of the motion offense that they're running. And then if teams want to try to go zone on us, don't be surprised. We're putting it up from from 3 point range. Like it's like,
right.
okay, we'll just shoot out of it, right? So that's kind of the style you're going to get from Ohio State here. They're going to play a lot of on the defensive side. They're going to play a lot of hard nosed man to man defense. Not seeing a ton of zone from this team. They do like to switch a lot, and that has caused some issues defensively on mismatch. You're out there on the wing, and your four guy makes a screen, and all of a sudden you got a guy with 5-6 inches on you, posting you up, right?
Hmm.
And Bruce Thornton, that's happened to him quite a bit. Michi as well, and so that has led to some foul trouble for this team as well because of that height discrepancy. But they're sticking with it. So they're it's kind of do or die on the defensive side with man to man. Just don't expect to see them go to zone at all.
Okay, mostly man team motion offense, a lot similar to a couple of teams that Auburn's faced so far this season. Probably just a little bit more athleticism when you're comparing it to a team like Richmond, who they just played, that
Right.
plays a lot of that Princeton style 5-out offense. This team on the season, not really, as you said, a formidable force in the post. Only 3.6 blocks per game, but again, a large portion of that is the big man that's there for them has been out for a few games and still pending to see whether or not he's going to make the trip to Atlanta to play in this one coming up. But I think it would give them a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, a lot more size on the interior. What, he's like 7'1", right? Like
Yeah,
he's a legitimate seven
he's
footer
a
there.
tall, lanky guy. Like there's like some of the bigger body guys when we were going up against A&M, he was having some trouble in
Hmm.
the post with some bigger body guys, even though he had a few inches on him. But don't sleep on Devin Royal. He's playing the four right now. He started the season as the sixth man. He's coming off the bench. He's right now averaging 24.6 minutes per game, which is second most, a third or fourth most on the team, I should say. That has only been going up as he's been, getting more of that playing time as they've moved Sean Stewart to the five. He started out as the four at the beginning of the season. They moved him to center, and they brought Devin Royal in to play the four, and he has done tremendous work. Last game, he dominated. There was no answer from Rutgers on him because he can take you down low, he can take you outside. He is very versatile within the offense. And Jake loves to move him around in the
Hmm.
offense and really try to find mismatches for him there on the offensive side. And so he is somebody who that I think as the season has progressed and as his role has progressed, his game has progressed at the same time. And so Devin Royal, I think, is somebody again, as long as he stays out of foul trouble because he's not as big of a guy, as long as he can stay out of foul trouble, he will help Ohio State stay in this basketball game. As far as Sean Stewart has been, he's kind of been the disappointment, Ike, just to be
Hmm.
completely honest with you. Again, another McDonald's five-star All-American who transferred from Duke to Ohio State, someone who we recruited heavily. We were in the running for coming out of high school, decided to go to Duke, didn't get a lot of playing time that first year, transfers over to Ohio State, and he's really hot or cold, and mostly been cold.
Hmm.
Um, he's not nearly as athletic as I thought he was going to be. And at times, he's shown a spark of athleticism, but I don't think his game is translating very well to playing the center position. And I think that's kind of where he's kind of fallen in trouble. And then offensively, he gets lost at times. It's just kind of like, where's he been? He's been out on the floor for 4 or 5 minutes, maybe touched the ball a couple times and has done nothing with it. So he's not somebody who's really looking for his own shot or trying to create his own shot or even looking for a shot within the offense. He's trying to get rebounds and maybe all of a sudden if there's a drive and they'll dish it to him, fumbles the basketball over. It's like
Hmm.
he's not ready for it, right? So that's someone I think if he ends up having a better than average game, then that's obviously what Ohio State's looking for here. To keep up with Auburn offensively, we're going to need someone like Sean Stewart to play better than what he has done up to this point.
Okay. When I'm looking here at the rotations, Auburn is known well, not this year, really under Bruce Pearl as a team that's going to go 8, maybe even 11 deep, depending upon
Yeah.
health and all that sort of thing. Looks as if the rotations for Ohio State really more of like a 7-person rotation. Unless people are in foul trouble, then they'll have to go further into the bench.
hmm
Is that a good estimation? Like you're going to see 7 to 8 guys on a regular
Yeah,
basis rotate through?
for for the most part, absolutely. Yeah. Now, if Aaron Bradshaw is able to play this game, which I don't expect him to be able to, then that'll change a little bit. But yeah, the other player that coming off the bench and really, I mean, it's kind of like, can you give us anything at all at that point, right? it's
Hmm.
you've got the freshman Ivan. He's played a few minutes here and there. But outside of Sean Stewart, you're looking at Colin White, maybe, or Etzler, the big forward coming off the bench. but these are guys who are going to spell you for a few minutes, right? They're not going to give you a ton of minutes off the bench. Evan Mahaffey does a good job. He's kind of become that new six man for us. He's what I would call someone who's similar to in hockey. He's going to come in and just bang bodies with you. We're not looking for a ton of offense here from him. If we need a foul, he's going to be the guy you go and, hey,
Okay.
we need
Hey,
you to
listen,
lay one here.
people, every team needs a guy that's going to do the dirty work. So not
Yeah,
mad at that.
that's him. That's Evan. He's pretty good defensively for us. And
He's leading the team right now in blocks per game at 1.4. I'm sitting
there
here
you
looking
go.
at the stats. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I am looking forward to this game again inside of State Farm Arena there in Atlanta. Ohio State making the trip down south to play a little basketball. In the South. Usually, this is a more exciting matchup, SEC versus Big Ten in football, but we will see what happens out here on the hardwood in terms of this game. You have any predictions for what you feel like how this game is going to end up?
Yeah, like by the way, I love Bruce Pearl. I think you guys got a heck of a coach, someone who I've got to see him at several different stops and locations now, and the dude absolutely knows ball, knows how to coach. I think his experience and the athleticism that Auburn has is going to be something that Ohio State's not going to be able to match up with. This is what we would call a measuring stick game for us. Like,
Mm,
as we try to say, hey, are we possibly an NCAA basketball team here this year, NCAA tournament team? Um, we fully expect to be on the bubble. I think is where we're kind of looking at, and maybe we can squeak in if we have a nice run in the conference and in at the end of the year. Um, but if we can go out there and if we can keep this thing within 10 points, I feel really good about this game for Ohio State to
mm.
be like, hey, we didn't get blown off the court, guys. We went down there, we played a top 10 team, and we kept it within 10. So I'm gonna say Auburn probably pulls away at the end, makes their free throws, and wins this thing probably somewhere around 90 to 80, 90 to 78.
Okay. All right. Listen, I mean, I think Auburn fans, will take a big win in a neutral site game versus another Power Four in another Power Four contest. Definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in this one. Before we get out of here, definitely want to give you an opportunity in case people want to keep up with what's going on with Ohio State. I know you guys are excited about the first 12-team playoff there in football, so you got some things to
Maybe
get.
some of us. I mean, I don't know. Listen, right now, Ryan Day's on a hot seat, man.
He is definitely
It is.
getting he's a polarizing figure there. I have heard from some people who are over there more in the know about the things in the Big Ten. Um,
Yeah.
he's going to have to win a couple of them, I think, in this
Well,
playoff.
it's it. Yeah, I mean, you can't for Auburn fans probably understand this better than most teams would with your rivalry with Bama, right? Okay, so here in Columbus, Ohio, you have one job, and that's to beat the team up north, as we call them.
Right. And
After
he hasn't
that,
done it.
it's like, okay, did we win the Big Ten? Are we going to compete for a national championship, right? But if you don't win that one, none of this else, nothing matters. And so here, even though we're in the college football playoff, and by the way, it would have to be a magical run to win this thing because I think we have the worst seed in the whole tournament.
There's a very tough road ahead
Yeah,
for Ohio State.
Tennessee, Oregon, probably Texas, and then more than likely Georgia, unless Notre Dame somehow knocks them off. Um, which Notre Dame's playing well, but they don't have the same horses that Georgia does. That 4-game run, if Ohio State were to do that, that's incredible. That might be one of the better 4-game runs in the history of college football ever done, right? However, I'm here to tell you, Ohio State fans will still look at that national championship and they will say it still feels hollow
Hmm.
because we didn't beat the team up north. That's how
And
much it means to us.
and this was a year where it felt like, okay, all right, we can beat them this year, and it
We
didn't
all
happen.
thought even they thought we were going to beat them, right?
Yeah.
Like even the crazies up there were like, yeah, they were probably going to lose this game, right? And then it's at this point it's mental. It's absolutely in his head. John Cooper, 1990s all over again. and it's panic mode in Columbus, Ohio. But yeah, that being said, you can catch us anywhere you download podcasts. Catch us on YouTube. Just type in the OHIO podcast. You'll find us, or you can go to our website, theohiopodcast.com.
All right. Well, Eric, I appreciate you taking a little time to get our fan base acclimated a little bit to the Ohio State Buckeyes on the hardwood, and we'll look forward to a good game this weekend.
Sounds good, Ike. Thanks for having us on.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, we are out of here. You guys know that you can check us out on YouTube at The War Report. We are the Auburn Express on all your podcast places. But make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share the content with somebody. We'll be back with more great content for you later. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle.